About a month ago, my father invited me to what I assumed was a routine family dinner. Our relationship has never been particularly tight, but I figured it'd be the usual catch-up. Work talk, family rumors, nothing out of the ordinary. Halfway through the meal, though, he cleared his throat and said we needed to discuss my future. I braced myself for the predictable, "When are you settling down?" lecture I'd heard countless times. I nodded, waiting for him to get to it. Instead, he dropped a bombshell. "We've decided you'll marry cousin's name. The wedding is set for next year." At first, I thought I'd misheard. Marry my cousin, this had to be a prank. But his face was dead serious, no trace of a smile. I let out a nervous laugh, thinking it was some kind of bizarre joke. When I looked at him again, though, his expression hadn't budged. "Wait, you're serious?" I asked, still reeling. "This isn't a joke." "No," he replied firmly. "It's time you take responsibility for the family. This is what's best for everyone." My stomach churned. Best for who? Certainly not me. I shot back. "No way. That's not happening." Instead of backing off, he leaned in harder, talking about family honor, tradition, and my duty to uphold our name. Apparently, my uncle had gotten tangled in some scandal, something about debts and financial troubles, and the family had decided that a marriage between me and my cousin would somehow mend the rift and restore our reputation. I couldn't wrap my head around it. How does marrying my cousin fix debts or save face? It sounded absurd, and I told him so, but he brushed me off. "You'll see the wisdom in this when you're older," he said, as if that explained anything. I tried to reason with him. I pointed out how messed up this was, how I didn't even think of my cousin romantically. She's like a sister to me, we grew up side by side. But he wouldn't budge. My dad's always been controlling, but this was a whole new level of insanity. Furious, I stormed out that night, thinking I'd made my stance crystal clear. He couldn't force me into this, or so I thought. A week later, things took a strange turn. My cousin, who I'm not particularly close to, started texting me out of the blue. Her messages were loaded with guilt. "I know you don't want this, but it would mean everything to the family. Sometimes we have to sacrifice for those we care about." I ignored most of them, what was there to say. Then she pivoted to something weirder. "I'm not feeling well," she wrote. "All this stress is really getting to me." At first, I brushed it off, but she kept going, mentioning doctor visits and concerning test results. She stayed vague, never giving details, just saying her health was failing and blaming it on me. "I can't eat or sleep," one message read. "My body's breaking down because of the pain." Pain from what? We're cousins, not lovers. I'll admit I felt a twinge of guilt at first. What if she was actually sick? What if I was somehow making it worse? But the more I thought about it, the less it added up. If she was so ill, why wasn't anyone else in the family talking about it? Why was she the only one reaching out? Then things got uglier. My dad called livid, accusing me of destroying her with stress and demanding I step up like a man. I couldn't believe it. How was this my fault? Every time I pressed for details, what's wrong with her? Why is this marriage the solution? He dodged, piling on more guilt instead. "Do you want her death on your conscience?" he said. That's when I knew something was off. I started checking my cousin's social media, and what I found didn't add up. For someone supposedly on the verge of collapse, she was living it up. Beach photos, nights out with friends, even concert posts. No sign of hospital visits or stress, just happy selfies with captions like "best day ever." The more I saw, the angrier I got. If she was faking her illness, what else was she lying about? The final blow came last night. I was at my dad's place, trying one last time to kill this marriage idea. Standing in the hallway, I overheard voices from the living room, my dad and my cousin laughing. I froze. I couldn't catch every word, but one sentence rang out. "Don't worry, he'll give in soon." It hit me like a ton of bricks. All this time, I'd been doubting myself, wondering if I was too harsh or paranoid. Now I knew they were both in on it. The illness was a sham, a calculated move to pressure me into their plan. I felt a mix of rage, betrayal, and disgust. I left without a word, but now I'm stuck. Confronting them could tear the family apart, but staying silent means letting them control my life. Update. The day after overhearing them, I decided to confront my dad. I thought laying it all out, calling out the lies and making it clear I wouldn't be manipulated, would make him back off. Surely no one keeps pushing after being exposed, right? Wrong. My dad does. I sat him down and didn't hold back. I told him I'd heard their conversation, knew my cousin wasn't sick, and that this whole scheme was ludicrous. His response? Total denial. "You got it all wrong," he said, staring me down. "We were just talking about how to help her through this tough time." Help her? I was losing it. "She's faking it to manipulate me," I said. "I heard you laughing about it." but he just kept at it, framing me as the villain for doubting her. "She's under so much pressure," he said. "Maybe she embellished a bit because she feels ignored." Embellished? That's a fancy way to say lied through her teeth. I realized he wasn't going to budge, so I left before I said something I'd regret. The next day, my cousin raised the stakes. I woke up to texts from her. "I was rushed to the hospital last night. It's serious this time." She even attached a grainy photo of herself in a hospital bed. At first glance, it seemed convincing, but something felt off. The image looked old, like something pulled from the internet or staged years ago. Plus, she still wouldn't say what was wrong, just vague nonsense like it's complex, or they're still doing tests. Then I noticed she was still posting on social media. While supposedly fighting for her life, she was sharing selfies at home with captions like "grateful for today." The audacity blew my mind. I was livid but felt cornered. If I called her out and she convinced the family I was wrong, I'd look like a monster. But staying quiet meant playing their game. Things got worse later that week. My dad called, this time with my uncle, my cousin's father, on the line. It was like an ambush. They laid into me, saying my cousin was getting worse and that her survival depended on me easing her stress. My uncle, with this fake, mournful tone, said, "The doctors don't think she'll pull through unless we fix this. All she wants is your commitment." I couldn't believe it. I told them I didn't buy the illness story, which only made them angrier. My dad called me selfish and ungrateful, saying I didn't care about the family. "Are you going to let her die to prove a point?" he said. That hit hard. I kept wondering, what if I'm wrong? What if she's actually sick and I'm too stubborn to see it? A few days later, my cousin called. I didn't want to pick up, but I needed to hear her out. She sounded frail, like she'd rehearsed her sick voice. "Why do you hate me so much?" she whispered, voice quivering. "I've always cared about you. All I want is for us to be happy together. Why is that so wrong?" I almost laughed. Happy? How would forcing me into a marriage make either of us happy? Instead of arguing, I asked calmly, "What's actually wrong with you?" There was a long silence before she mumbled, "It's a rare condition. They don't even have a name for it." Sure, because that's how medicine works. I told her I didn't believe her, pointing out her social media posts. She started sobbing, loud, theatrical sobs, and said, "I can't believe you're doing this to me. You're ruining everything." Then she hung up. That night my mom called. She's usually the peacemaker in family drama, but this time she sided with my dad. "You're breaking this family apart," she said. "Why can't you just do this for us?" Her words stung more than I expected. I've always valued her opinion, and hearing her back them up shook me. But then I remembered the evidence. The fake hospital photo, the social media lies, the overheard plotting. I knew the truth, even if no one else did. Still, the guilt was crushing. I felt trapped in a no-win situation. Giving in meant sacrificing my happiness and dignity. Standing firm meant risking my entire family. The breaking point came a few days later. A friend who works at the hospital, my cousin claimed to be admitted to, called me. She'd checked the records, no trace of my cousin ever being there. Not a single visit. I wasn't shocked, but the confirmation hit hard. This wasn't just manipulation, it was a coordinated scheme. I confronted my dad again, armed with proof. I told him I knew the truth and was done being played. His response: "If you walk away from this, don't come back." My own father, ready to disown me because I wouldn't marry my cousin. Final update: after confirming my cousin was never in the hospital, I decided enough was enough. I couldn't let them keep pulling the strings, so I did something they didn't see coming. I told the whole family. I called a meeting with my dad, mom, uncle, cousin, and a few extended relatives. I wanted witnesses to stop them from twisting the narrative. When everyone was there, I laid it all out calmly, detailing the marriage scheme, the fake illness, and the relentless guilt trips. My dad tried to cut me off, but I wasn't having it. "Let me finish," I said, holding his gaze. "You've had your say. Now it's mine." I presented the evidence. Hospital records showing no admission, screenshots of my cousin's carefree social media posts during her supposed hospitalization, and the conversation I'd overheard about breaking me down. The room went quiet. Everyone was processing it. My mom looked stunned, my uncle confused, but my dad, he didn't even blink, just stared at me like I was the problem. My cousin went into full damage control, tears streaming as she said, "It's not what it seems, I've been so stressed. Maybe I stretched the truth a bit because I felt unheard." Stretched the truth? No one was buying it this time. Even my mom, who'd backed her before, looked doubtful. "Why would you lie about something so serious?" she asked. That's when my dad jumped in. "Enough," he snapped. "This isn't about lies, it's about family. We all have a duty to protect each other, even if it means sacrifices." Sacrifices? I fired back. You mean forcing me into a marriage with my cousin and lying to everyone? That's not protection, it's manipulation. It's wrong. I couldn't believe he was still defending it, even with the truth laid bare. Then my cousin played her last card. Standing up, still crying, she said, "Fine, if you won't marry me, I'll just leave. Maybe I shouldn't be part of this family." It was pure emotional blackmail, and it worked on some. My uncle rushed to her side, accusing me of pushing her too far and fracturing the family. A few relatives chimed in, saying, "Why can't you just move on? Is this worth all the chaos?" But I held firm. If anyone's breaking the family, it's her and Dad. They're the ones who lied and schemed. I'm just trying to protect myself. I thought that would end it, but my dad's next words cut deep. "You think you're so noble, but you're just selfish. You won't do what it takes to keep us together, so maybe you're the one who doesn't belong." My own father, disowning me in front of everyone for refusing to bend to his delusional plan. The aftermath was rough. Half the family cut me off entirely. My dad and cousin stuck to their story, painting me as the selfish one tearing everyone apart. My mom tried to stay neutral, but her "I don't want to pick sides" felt hollow when the truth was so clear. As for my cousin, she moved on quickly. A few weeks later, I heard she was engaged to someone else, someone my dad had set her up with. Apparently, they'd moved to Plan B when I wouldn't comply. The strangest part. My dad invited me to the wedding, no apology, no mention of the chaos, just a casual invite like nothing had happened. I didn't go, obviously. Hearing about it from other relatives stirred a mix of feelings. Relief at escaping their control, grief for the family I'd lost, and a deep, simmering anger at the people who were supposed to love me but chose deception instead.